Okay, welcome back. So now that we finished chapter 7, right? We dealt with the perpetual purchases, and we also dealt with perpetual sales. Now here is where it all comes together. Okay, so actually before I do this, I'm going to show you what the inventory worksheet actually looks like. So I posted this on the Google Class. So notice this. You have 3 sections. You have your first 3 columns are going to be your cost of goods sold. Your middle section right here is going to be your inventory worksheet or your inventory workspace, we call it, and or where your purchases are. And then here on the last 3 columns on the right is going to be your inventory on hand. So we're going to take a look at how we enter in a purchase, and then we're going to move it to inventory, and how we make a sale, right? And we have to calculate the new inventory based off of that. So this is just a little thing here. So as you could see, there is no calculations at the bottom. There is no anything, because when we actually look at how we actually calculate the cost of goods sold and how we take it out of inventory or even add it to inventory, you're going to see that it's going to be literally moving from left to right, and you're constantly moving left to right, but also going downwards as well. You're never going to go up and down or anything like that. It's going to be consistently going forward. Okay? So now we can go ahead and go back to our PowerPoint, and let's go ahead and dive right in. So as we know from periodic inventory, right, we understand how the worksheet works. So the only difference here is that when we're understanding how we actually do the perpetual inventory, is now we have to also consider the cost of goods sold. So our first one we're going to be looking at is, of course, FIFO. But the way we actually cost out our inventory, right? We learned these before. So it's all going to be the same concept, except how we apply it to the inventory worksheet is going to be a little different. Okay, so of course, we're going to be looking at first in, first out, which is pretty obvious. We've gone over examples. So again, a good way to use FIFO would be a grocery store. And then we looked at LIFO, right? For example, a cell phone store, they usually sell the later models before they sell the older models, okay? And of course, now this one, instead of weighted average, this one's going to be called moving average, okay? And it will make sense when we actually hit chapter 8.3. So we might possibly see that next week on Monday. But let me see, today's Wednesday, yeah, so we only have Thursday, so tomorrow is going to be 8.2. So we'll definitely look at that on Monday. Now, how moving average works, again, because we have the idea of purchasing and cost of goods sold, you're going to see what it looks like when we're constantly updating our inventory. Therefore, we're constantly updating our average at every single point in time. And of course, we're not going to look at a specific ID, because we just don't have time for it. But for now, let's go ahead and move on to first in, first out. Okay, so again, these ones, the formulas are similar yet different. Okay, how we understand is when we make our purchases of inventory, we're going to see our quantity times our cost per item. Our unit price to give us our total purchases. We're also going to be looking at the total cost, which is our purchase price plus our freight. And of course, we're also going to be looking at a cost per item, because in this case, when we're dealing with FIFO, we need to separate each batch, because we're going to cost it the way when we buy our first batches, we have to get rid of them first. So same thing there. Now, goods available, there's a little difference here, because, again, when we look at our table, we don't have a little small section for us to calculate our cost of goods sold. However, what it truly boils down is it's going to be your total cost of number 1 plus your total cost of number 2 to equal your goods available. And we'll take a look at that when we actually dive into our inventory on hand section right there. That's going to be your total goods available. Okay, and of course your quantity of quantity 1 plus your quantity 2 gives you your total quantity. So we'll take a look at that. And of course our cost of goods sold. We have a new section for our cost of goods sold. So when we have that, it's pretty straightforward, right? We just do a quantity times our cost per item to give us our total cost of goods sold. And of course, ending balance or ending inventory will always be given, right? It's going to be your total cost minus the cost of goods sold to give you your ending balance, which we all know. But when we're looking in our perpetual inventory, you're going to notice that you're going to be constantly finding out what your ending inventory is at all times, okay? So let's go ahead and dive into the example here. So first here we have is on June 1st, you made a purchase of 100 toys for $1.25 each with a freight cost of $25. So again, we know how to journalize this. We're going to journalize it as if you're making purchase of inventory, you're going to put it directly into inventory, including every single cost. Because no matter what cost it is, it's all going to go into inventory. Okay, so here is the journal there, right? So now we're going to apply it to our inventory worksheet. So as we mentioned before, we have 3 sections, but unfortunately, due to the PowerPoint, I can't squeeze in the third one. But here we're just focusing on our cost of goods sold, okay? Our purchases. So here we're going to skip over our cost of goods sold because we didn't sell anything yet. We're going to skip over and go into the middle section where we're going to apply our inventory or our purchases. So here we have quantity of 100. We have $1.25 each. We still have our purchase price, our freight price, our total cost, and our cost per item. So this section we've seen before. We've seen this in our periodic inventory worksheet, okay? So you're going to do the same exact thing. So here my total purchase price is $125, and my plus my freight is going to give me a total of $150. Of course, that's going to give me my total or cost per item to be $1.50. Now, you can choose to do this. It's optional. You don't have to do it, but if it makes sense to you or if you're a visual person and it makes it easier for you to keep track of it, color code it. Okay? I find that this is very helpful for those who prefer to be learn visually. And if you color code it, then you automatically know which batch you're going to be taking out from. So in this case, I only have one batch and I decided to color it yellow. Okay? That's my first batch I bought was the yellow batch. Okay? So then next thing that happened was on June 3rd, you sold 55 toys for $5 each. Okay? All right, we recognize our sale here, and we also need to recognize our cost of goods sold. But see, I've done the calculation already, but I'm going to go ahead and go into my worksheet. So because if I'm going to be dealing with multiple levels of inventory, I need to know which one I'm going to be costing out first. So in this case, I only have one batch and one batch only exists. So here I'm going to calculate how much my total cost of goods sold is going to be. So of course, I added 55 toys under the quantity under my cost of goods sold section. And I'm going to go ahead and look. How much is it going to cost me to sell each item? Okay, it's not going to cost me $1.25. That's what I purchased it for. I need to include the freight because that is part of my cost of goods sold. So in this case, my total cost of goods sold is going to be my cost per item that I'm going to use is going to be my $1.50. So I'm going to place my $1.50 right into that middle section, and I'm going to go ahead and calculate it. 55 times $1.50, so there's where your cost of goods sold section is, right? It's your quantity times your cost per item. And you're going to get a total of $82.50, okay? Now, if you're really good at Excel, you don't need to do this. It's not obligated. However, I just want to do it so then you guys can visually see what's going on. So what I'm going to do is, now that I completed my cost of goods sold, I'm going to go ahead and take it right out of my inventory, right? This is the section that I'm going to take out. So once I do that, now I'm going to have a remaining of my yellow batch is going to be 45 items, giving me a total cost of $67.50 this time, right? I took my 55 items, I subtracted out of my 100. I've subtracted my $82.50 from my total of 150. All right, and I got a new total now. So this is my new balance in my ending inventory, and that's how much I know at any given time when I make a purchase or when I make a sale. I'm constantly updating, and I should know how my ending inventory is at all times. Okay, so in this case, I know that my yellow batch is going to be 45 items, and it's going to be $67.50. Okay. So then moving on to scenario here, then on June 5th, okay, you made a purchase of 100 toys at $1.28 each, with the freight costing you $26. So again, same thing as here, right? We journalize it. We're recognizing that we purchased inventory. So now we got to apply it to our table, okay? So again, I removed the yellow line right there. So now I know that my first batch is still yellow. Okay. So now I'm adding another 100 items in there. But again, I'm not going to add them together because I need to keep them separate. All right. So here I got 100 items at $1.28, which gives me a total purchase price of $128 plus 26 gives you a total of $154. Your cost per item is going to be $1.54. And of course, like I said, if it helps you, I'm going to color it in. So at least I know yellow batch came first, red batch came next. Okay. So then let's see what else happened. Then on June 10, you made another additional purchase of 100 toys at $1.30 with a freight costing you $27. So again, I just throw that in there. And that's what I do, and I make another color reference, right? This time it's green. All right, so now I know batch number 1 is yellow, batch number 2 is red, batch number 3 is green. Okay, and there it is. Now here is where the next portion is going to be important. So as I can see here, I recognize that on June 12th, I sold a total of 120 toys for $5 each, etc., etc. Now, let's look at our batches again. I only have 45 in my yellow batch, and I have 100 in my red batch, and I have 100 in my green batch. I sold 120. Okay? So now, I gotta look carefully. I only have 45 in my yellow batch, and I'm gonna obviously take something out of the red batch. So here, I recognize I'm gonna get rid of my 45, which is my yellow one, and I'm gonna take 75 out of the 100 items here to get me my numbers. So again, I'm gonna look at my cost per item, right? I recognize that my yellow batch is going to be for $1.50. My red batch is going to be for $1.54. Now, of course, with the assumption that we're getting rid of the entire yellow batch, you don't really need the cost per item because you already know you're going to get rid of the whole thing. It's going to be for $67.50. But in this case, I'm just going to show it to you so you know where it came from. Okay? And because we're going to be eliminating that entire thing, I'm going to also draw it in here as well so I can keep track of that my yellow batch is now 0. Okay? And then now I'm going to go ahead and apply it to my red batch here. Okay? Now that I only have 2 remaining, it's going to cost me $1.54 multiplied by 75. Now I'm going to go ahead and subtract that out to get my new red balance, right, of now 75 100 minus 75 gives you 25 left, with the amount of $38.50 left. Okay? And therefore, I'm going to also total up my cost of goods sold, because when we journalize it, we're not going to journalize cost of goods sold, cost of goods sold. We're just going to add them all together. So the total that I'm going to be journalizing here for the 120 items is going to be for a grand total of $183. I'm going to add these totals up together. Okay. And of course, now I just need to keep remembering that my red batch came before my green batch. Okay. So now that has happened, again, now that I've reached the end of my inventory, I'm going to total up. So I have a total of cost of goods sold to be 175 items, costing me a total of 265. And I should have a remaining balance of 125. That's costing me $196.50. Which, if we look back in our scenario, that should be the last thing that is said here. It's back in that scenario where it says that your ending inventory should be 125 at whatever cost it is. Okay. So now that we have that, any questions in regards to how we're calculating this? So as you can see, we're moving through the worksheet back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We're starting from the left, going to the end, making our way to the right. This is going to be a lot more easier when we have our section called the inventory on hand, and we would transfer that amount over. Your workspace is only going to be in the middle, but once you transfer over into your inventory on hand, it's going to be a lot easier to understand, especially if you know how to use Excel. All right, and I will go ahead and go over that example in a few. So, of course, we also have to know, well, what happens when we have beginning inventory? Okay, so in this case, on June 15, you had a total of 125 toys on hand, costing you at $195.50, which we just calculated from the previous section, right? Here it is, okay? So what's going to happen is the first thing you need to do is you're going to recognize that you have beginning inventory, okay? You're going to pull that information and you place it here, and it's going to be kept in the same order, right? We remember our first batch that we purchased was the red one, and then we bought our green one. So there you go. We placed it into our inventory as is before we start our worksheet. Okay? So the next scenario here is that on June 18, you sold an additional 90 toys for $5 each. So again, we sold a total of 90. Because we sold a total of 90, we only have 25 in our red and we have 100 in our green. Because we're doing Fifo, red came first, so we're going to recognize that we're going to get rid of the red batch, and we're going to be dipping in 65 items in my green batch. All right? And of course, we place in the number that we grabbed from here, which is going to give us a grand total of $38.50, so you don't need to do a real calculation there. And we're also going to grab our green one, which is, again, $1.56, and we're going to update it. So now we're going to take it away from our green batch. So we're going to take 100 minus the 65 to give us a total of 45. And to give us a total of 35, right? And now our green batch is going to be 35 at a total of $54.95. Okay. Other scenarios would be we continued our process. So on June 21st, we made another purchase of 100 toys. Okay. So that's going to be popped onto here. And of course, it's going to be for 132 plus 26, give us a total of 158, making our cost per item 158. And again, I'm going to choose another color. Don't use any colors that are pre-existing. Like, don't put in red again because you've already used red. But if your inventory worksheet is starting over and you haven't used that color yet, then yes, you may go ahead and do so, as long as you know how to keep track of it, right? If you can recognize green came first and then blue came next, then that's great, okay? So here I recognize that I have a blue batch now, okay? And of course, on the 25th of June, I made an additional purchase for $1.35 each. So here you go. And I decided to label it orange. Okay. So same thing going on forth. Now on June 27th, we sold a total of 120 toys. And then on June 28th, we sold 65. And again, June 30th, you should have a total on hand of 50 toys. So again, June 27, we sold additional 120. We look at our batch here. We see that green is going to come first, and then we're going to dive into our blue one. Okay? Of course, we're going to subtract it out the green, right, to make our green 0. And then we're going to also subtract out our blue, right, for the 85 items. And now we have a remaining for blue is going to be 15 items for $23.70. Okay. So the last thing that we have here is June 28th. We sold another 65. So again, looking at our blue batch because it came first, we're going to get rid of that one. And then we're going to also dip in 50 items from our orange batch and get rid of that as well. So that means at the end of the day, you should still have 50 items from the orange batch costing you at $81 even. And of course, here you have your cost of goods sold. You can tally that up. That's only for your inventory purposes. You don't need to calculate your total cost of goods sold just because you know what you sold. Okay? Any questions in regards to perpetual inventory? Okay, this is FIFO, and that's how you do it, right? Now, question to you. Is it necessary to make a conversion entry?
Yes,
Why?
we have I tried read perpetual costing methods, so we have to know what's going on with our inventory, right?
Okay, but why for periodic inventory? Why is it that we had to do a conversion entry?
I think the answer is probably no, because you're only counting the inventory occasionally with the periodic, and this you're keeping up with the inventory. We're tracking it in the worksheet right here, so it's already
Correct. And also one thing too is for periodic inventory, when we recognized it, when we made our purchases, we purchased it as an expense. And then we had to convert it to inventory. In this case, it already is inventory. And we're keeping track of how much we sold. And on top of that, we already know how much our ending inventory is at any given time. So in this case, no, you absolutely do not need to have a conversion entry. Okay? There's no review sheet for here because, again, all these ideas come from the previous chapters that we learned before. We recognize what FIFO does, and this is how you calculate it. Now, how to summarize it is going to be that's the question that you have to be able to work out on your own. So there is no review sheet for chapter 8, okay? Because it's concepts that we learned from chapter 5 and 6. Okay. All right, any questions? Okay. So again, this is going to be a lot more easier now that we have the full table available to us. So we have now the inventory on hand, and it's going to be a lot more easier to go ahead and complete. So let's look at our scenario here, okay? So again, we have your inventory method is Perpetual and it is FIFO. So let's get started. So on May 5th, you purchase 1,000 units at $3 each on an account. Okay, freight costs you $100. So for this example, I only want you to just practice doing the worksheet. When we get to chapter 8 review, doing the whole thing, that's where we're going to practice journalizing and then practice using the inventory worksheet. But for this, I just want you to be able to get comfortable with the worksheet. So let's go ahead and do that. So purchase 1,000 units at $3 each with the freight costing you $100. So May 5th, 1,000 items at $3 each with a freight of $100. So I'm in the wrong section. I'm supposed to be here. So 1,000 for quantity, $3 each, and the freight is $100. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and format my cells real quick. All right, so what is my total going to be here? Oh, I'm sorry, what's my total purchase price?
3,000.
Okay, good, 3,000. What is my total cost going to be?
3,100.
3,100. And what is my cost per item going to be? $3.10. So this is where we can go ahead and move it right along over here. So in this case, if it helps you, use colors. If it doesn't help you, then don't use colors. So for now, because I am teaching you guys this, I'm going to go ahead and use colors. So I'm going to make this, we'll make it orange for now, okay? There you go. So that's my first batch, okay? All right, so let's see what happened next. So here on May 7th, you sold 550 units at $10 each for cash. No sales tax. So where are we going to start now?
So the cost of goods sold?
The cost of goods sold section, we got 550 units. How much is it going to cost me to sell each item?
10.
It's going to cost you $3 and yes.
3.10.
Yes. And of course, now we can go ahead and solve for this. So how much in total is my cost of goods sold? 1705. Okay? And this is where you can go ahead and place it in here. If it helps you, highlight this color so you know exactly what's going on. But in this case, I only have one batch. There's nothing I can really get confused about. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Right? I enter that in. So here, my total should be now 450 items because I got rid of 550. All right? And here, because my total was 1705, okay, it's going to now reflect here that I should have 1395 left. And this is what you can do. Because we know this answer is true, we can come in here, and if you put the formula in correctly, you should be able to type this in, 450 items, and it should reflect the 1395. And that's how you update your inventory. I still have my orange batch. It's still going to be orange. And it's going to be for the 450, okay? Now, doing this allows you to be able to, visually see where you're taking it out of, which batch you're going to be taking out of. But of course, if you're really good at Excel or you're really good at memorizing this stuff, then you don't need to put your calculations inside the middle section. And we'll take a look about that next week when we start practicing more and more, right? You don't need to have the middle section. But let's say you do inventory on a day-to-day basis, okay? And you don't do the calculations. A month later, when you go back to your inventory worksheet, are you going to know exactly what happened? Okay, so there's pros and cons to whether you show your work or whether you don't. Okay, and if you're the inventory manager, highly recommend that it is more useful and more advised to show your calculations in your little section in the middle and then update your inventory, because then at the end of the day, when you come back to your shift the next morning, you know what happened yesterday. Because oftentimes we are so busy with our lives that sometimes after we work our full day for our work, we go home, we come back, we don't know what the heck happened the day before. So it's only recommended if you want to do it, but again, it's based on how you manage your own inventory worksheet. Okay, but I'm teaching you it this way, so I'm going to show you it this way. Next week, we're going to eliminate that and just use the inventory on hand. Okay, so anyways, let's go back to the problem. So here we now have on May 10th, we purchased 850 units at $3.25 each with a freight of 75. Okay, so we have, now we're going to go to our inventory worksheet. So 850 at $3.25 each with a freight of 75. Okay, so what is going to be my total purchase price?
$27,62.50.
$27,62.50. And then lastly, what's my total purchase? I'm sorry. What's my total cost?
$28.37.50.
$28.37.50, making my cost per item to be
3.338.
3.338, you said? Okay, so now we're dealing with numbers that are not very friendly. Okay? So what we're going to do here is we're still going to transfer it over. It's still going to matter at the end of the day. But the only difference is now we have to apply in our equal round method. Okay? So now we have to go ahead and apply that equal round. So it's up to you. I don't know why I spaced it out. It's actually supposed to go up here. So let me redo that again. Just so that you can visually see it a little better. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this right here because this is our second batch, right? We know it's our second batch because that's just how it is. And then I'm going to go ahead and highlight it, and I'm going to make this batch color green. Okay, so now I'm making associations, right? I have a orange batch. I also have a green batch. Okay, now notice this. Notice that when I punch in my formula, I can't use the fill tool. Reason being is because I don't know what the next day is going to happen. I don't know what my next transaction is going to be. So I cannot use the fill tool. The only place that you can use the fill tool would be this right here, because as you keep progressing in your inventory worksheets, then this formula will be the only one that's going to stay constant. This one as well too, but remember, we're skipping around because we have dates that are involved as well. So you can't use the fill handle tool to make it easier to do your calculations. You're actually going to have to manually punch them in every single time. All right. All right, so then what happened next? On May 12th, you sold 360 units at $10 for cash, no sales tax. So So let's go ahead and look 360. So let's look at our batches. Do we have enough to cover our 360? We're doing FIFO.
Yes.
Yes, we do. So what was this, May 12th? Oh, I didn't even put in May 10 for my purchases. So May 12th, I sold 360 items. What is my total cost per item going to be here?
It's $10.
That's the selling price.
Oh.
How much did it cost you to sell those 360 items?
$3.10?
Yes, $3.10, our orange batch, because we're following the LIFO method. Because $3.10 is an even number, we don't need to apply the equal round just yet. Okay?
You're doing FIFO, right?
FIFO, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So here we
That's
go.
what we got 310.
Say that again?
So that's what we get the 310 because we are following the LIFO.
We're following FIFO, not LIFO.
FIFO. Yeah.
Yes, first in. So we recognize that our orange batch came in first. So we need to get rid of our orange batch first. Okay. So for here, what you can do is you can pull down the information from your orange batch and then apply in your section here. So then you get a little more.
Excuse me.
Say it again?
There is that pop up on the screen introducing sleeping tabs.
Okay.
I don't see
Let's.
it.
So it might be on your end. Okay, so here, and I'm gonna go back to my inventory worksheet. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So now that I am gonna subtract out from my orange batch, right? I should have 90 left, all right? And I'm gonna pull the information down because that's what I'm doing right now. Okay. So I should have 279 items left. You can highlight here if it's better for you to keep track of it that way. But again, I'm just going to keep a track on my inventory on hand versus my worksheets because I can just look at the information right above. So in this case, I should have I should have 90 items left. In this case, 90 items. At that should give you $279, which is exactly what we calculated right here. So you can highlight this orange so you can keep track of it this way if you like. It's preference. In this case, I'm not going to do it just because I have it up here. Okay. So here I should have 90 left. Now, of course, when you're looking at your inventory on hand, you should know how much you have on hand at any given time by going to the very bottom and doing your equal sum, right? So every time we update our inventory, you should know how much you should have every single day. But in this case, I'm still working on my day-to-day, on my monthly worksheet. So in this case, I can see right here, do I have enough? Am I going to be able to sell them, right? It's right here, it's pretty clear. So I don't need to total up the bottom unless your task is to give an ending balance every single time. Then yes, you would total up the bottoms. But in this case, I'm not going to do that, okay? So here, the next one is going to be May 15th. You sold an additional 600 units at $10 each for cash, no sales tax. So you sold an additional 600 items. Now let's go take a look at this. Let's look at our batches. Is our orange batch enough to sell 600 items?
No.
No. So we're going to actually get rid of this orange batch. However, we also have our green batch. Do we have enough to sell 600 items?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we do. But in this case, we need to split our costs up together. So in this case, we have a total of 600 items sold on, what was this, May 15? Yeah, May 15. So I'm going to go find this section right here. May 15, I'm going to sell my first 90, and my whole grand total needs to be $600, 600 items, right?
Yes.
So therefore, oh, I'm sorry, I hit it the wrong way. So I'm supposed to add this plus this, and this number here is supposed to be 600 minus the 90 to get a total of 510 to give you a grand total of 600. So again, I'm going to highlight this part because it is actually a calculation, because when I journalize it, I have to journalize it as a total amount. So I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to make it this light iridescent color, okay? So again, because we know that our batch for the 90 is going to be for 310, I am getting rid of the whole thing, so I don't need to make a calculation here, but I'm doing it for class purposes. So I know I'm getting rid of $279. Okay? Here, so now that I got rid of my first 90, I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 90 out to give me my grand total of 0. Of course, you don't have to show your calculation here because you know you're going to take it out anyway. But again, for the purpose of this class, I just want to make sure that you guys know exactly where I'm taking this out from. So I know that my balance should be 0. So then I come up here, enter in 0. Your orange batch is completely gone. Okay. So now I need to calculate 510 because that's how much I need to take out in order to get my grand total of 600 units that I sold. So in this case, what is my cost per item going to be for my green batch?
3.338235.
Okay, so there you go. Again, you can choose to round here if you'd like, but in this case, I don't like rounding because we're selling hundreds of items. You round now, you're going to lose $1 after you sell your first 1,000th item. And that's a lot. So here, this is where, because it's not a very friendly number, I'm going to go ahead and apply my equal round. Okay? If you guys remember, it's equal round, parenthesis. You're going to enter in your formula. So I'm going to do my quantity times my cost per item, comma, how many decimal points you want. I want 2. All right? And you can either close your parentheses or press enter, and I should get 1702.50. Is that right? 1702.50?
Yeah, because they're rounding it up.
Yes.
Good. All right, and I'm gonna show that. There you go. Okay, so now I'm getting rid of my green batch here. I'm gonna go ahead and enter it in here. I'm going to pull down the information just so then I can keep track of it, right? My information was that I entered in 850, and now I'm subtracting out 510, giving you a grand total now of 340 items. Okay, so this is going to actually become a little more accurate than what it should be, right? So 850 should be the 2837.50 minus this 1702.50. So therefore, I should get an even number of 1135 even. Okay, and of course you come up here, and if you change this number here to 340, it reflects in my balance to be the 1135. Okay, so boom. Not only am I double checking my math, I'm also validating that I'm validating the accuracy of my accounting, that I know what I'm doing, and that I have things that match. Okay, so here my calculation matched, so did my inventory on hand matched. Okay, now there are times where you're gonna run into rounding issues, especially when you're dealing with half a penny, because of course with Excel it always associates if it's a 5 or higher, it's going to round up. So you want to be very careful. By doing this, you can double check your work as well. Okay. All right. So now that we did our sale on May 15, let's see what has happened next. So here we have May 20th. We recognize that on May 20th that we purchased an additional 300 units at $350 with the freight costing you $20. So 300, 350, and 20. So again, this is May 20th. All right, I'm going to skip down here. May 20th. I'm going to recognize that I purchased 300 items at $3.50. Okay, with a freight of $20. So therefore, what is my total purchase price here?
1,050.
1,050 plus my freight, which is going to give me a total cost of
1,070.
1,070, bringing my total cost per item to be
3.5666.
3.5666. So again, I'm going to show that it's there. Oop, too many numbers. There you go. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and drop that into my inventory on hand. So again, I should have 300 items, okay? And it's going to cost me 3.5667, and I'm going to be a total of the it should be the total
1,070.
of 1070 even, all right? And then I'm going to go ahead and come in here, and I'm going to go ahead and choose a color just to keep myself knowing which batch came first, okay? So again, now I'm dealing with the green batch, and I have a blue batch, okay? So with that being said, now we can go ahead and take a look at our numbers here. Okay, so we just entered in a new batch of inventory. So what has happened next on May 22nd?
We sold 450 units.
Okay, we sold an additional 450 units. Now let's go ahead and determine, do we have enough to sell 450 units?
Yes.
Yes, we do. But the green batch, we're going to get rid of the whole green batch, and we're also going to dip into our blue batch. So let's go ahead and recognize that. So here we have 340 in our green batch. 340. We need to get to 450, right?
Yes.
So therefore, I need to take 110 items out of my blue batch. So I'm going to highlight this again, and I'm going to make it not that blue. I'm going to make it this nice blue here. Okay, so again, because I'm getting rid of my entire green batch, right? I'm going to select this. You don't have to, because at this point, I know I'm going to get rid of the entire batch of green. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I have to type it in. So where am I? Okay. Okay, so there you go. My 11350000. Okay. And of course, because I'm getting rid of this batch here, right, I'm going to pull down my information from above for my 340. Okay. I'm going to subtract out my 340 to bring me down to 0, right? You don't really need to that, but that's okay. I'm just showing you so you know exactly where these numbers are coming from. Okay. Okay. Subtract out this total to give you 0. And now I'm going to come up to my inventory on hand, and I know I have 0. It's crossed out. It's gone. Okay. So now I have left is just my blue batch, and I know that from my calculation, I sold a total of 450 items. So in this case, I need to calculate how much 110 items are going to be. So how much is my cost per item for my blue batch?
It's 3.56667.
Okay. And because it's not an even number, I'm going to go ahead and throw in my equal round formula so I can get a nice, easy number. Okay, so comma 2, and I should get a total of 392.33. Okay, so with that being said, my total for my 450 items is going to be 1527.33. And of course, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pull down the information here so I can subtract this section out. Okay? So giving you a remainder of 190. Oh, I hit the wrong number. Okay. So at the end of the day, you should have 677.67. Okay. And I'm going to go up here, and because I know that I should have, what was it? 300 minus 110, 190. It gives me 677.67. So at least I know my accounting is accurate right there. Okay. So now let's see what has happened next. On May 25th, we purchased another 650 units for $3.75 each, costing you $50. Okay, so 650 at 375.
2437.50.
What did you say? Hold on, I think I didn't multiply that right. 350, right? Oh no, 650, I'm sorry. 650. Okay, so 2437.50. Okay, hold on, let me put in the date real quick. So this is May 25th. Right? Or is it May 25th?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, okay, I put on the wrong line. Okay, I see what I did here. So here, so May 20th is when I made the purchase, and then May 22nd is when I sold. Okay, so here you go. So on May 25th, I made the purchase of that, and then what was my freight again?
50.
$50, bringing my total cost to be
2487.50.
$24.8750, bringing my total cost to be, cost per item to be
That would be 3.82692.
okay. So another, I guess nasty number. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this information into my inventory on hand. So again, 850. And the cost per item is going to be this $3.8262. Okay, and Of course, the formula here is to multiply them across, giving you a total of this. And I'm going to highlight it, and let me see, what color have I not used? We could do yellow. Okay, so there you go. Since we don't have orange anymore, we can use yellow. Okay, so now I have these batches here, and my calculation was done here. Let's see what else happened here on May 27th. What happened on May 27th? We sold another 740 units at $10.25 each. And of course, last but not least, on May 31st, you should have a total of 100 units on hand. So let's go ahead and determine this again. So 740 is what we sold. Do we have enough to sell 740?
Yes.
Yes, we do, but we have to break it up. Okay. So here on May 27, we need to get a grand total of 740. But how much do I actually have in my blue batch?
190.
I have 190. Okay, and I need to get to 740. Okay, so therefore, I need to do a calculation here, or I need to do a sum. Okay, so again, 190, as we know, we're taking the whole batch, which is this 3.567 ordeal, and we're going to do that, and we know it's 67. It's 67767. I'm going to go ahead and do the equal round here. Okay, and then I'm going to subtract that out from my batch of 190. So I'm just going to pull the information down here. And I'm going to subtract it out to bring my value to be 0. Okay, that's just to ensure that you got rid of it and that it isn't lingering there. Okay. And of course, I'm going to go ahead and go up here and get rid of the whole batch. Okay. Now, out of this 650, how much am I actually going to be taking out?
550.
550. How much is it going to cost me to sell each item? What's my cost per item?
3.826923.
Good. And of course, because we're dealing with not nice numbers, I'm going to equal round my formula. So it should be 2104.81. Okay. And if you add these up together, for the total amount that you sold for the 740 should be $2,782.48. So I'm going to go ahead and go here, and I'm going to go ahead and update my values here. So then I know that I should have, boom, 100. That's exactly how much my inventory on hand was supposed to be, right? The value at the end of the day should have been 100. And if I go ahead and do this and I subtract this all out, I should have $382.69, which if I go up here and type in my 100, it should reflect the same. 382.69. And that is it. So we know we have 100 items left on hand, and it's for the value of $382.69. And that's how we complete the inventory worksheet on hand. Okay, so this is one of the more confusing ones because you just have to keep track of where you're placing your information and how it's going to be relevant or how it's going to keep you in track. Okay, so again, if this is too much clutter, you do not need to have the calculations done in the middle section. Okay, I'm only doing it because when I post the answers and you guys see it, you guys are going to be like, well, what happened? I don't know what happened. This is what happened. Okay, so this is also for this as well. But when you're doing this on your own worksheet, you could do whatever you'd like to make it easier for yourself. If you want to go ahead and do straight calculations into the inventory on hand, go for it. Be my guest. But I will teach that again next week. We will look at utilizing this and making it easier for us to go ahead and make it easier for us to enter in the information. Okay. So, okay, so we have 30 more minutes to go ahead and go through the next section here. So again, we have continue from above, and your inventory method is again perpetual, and we are using Fifo. But this time we have beginning inventory. Here we have on May 31st that you had a total of 100 units on hand. All right, so because when we're doing this, we also have to recognize that you can continue on this. But again, if we're doing your inventory worksheet on a month-to-month basis, you definitely want to close this out and then just transfer the information into a new worksheet, which is exactly what we're going to do here. Okay, we're going to transfer the information here. I'm going to write the date here is May 31st, okay? And I'm going to transfer everything into my inventory on hand. So as I know here, I have 100 items at 8.23. So in my other table, that's exactly what I'm going to be copying over. I'm going to copy over directly from my previous worksheet. And if you'd like, you can also carry over the number, the color as well, if it helps you. If it helps you keep track of it much better. Okay, so there you go, and this should be a nice rounded number. There you go, 69. Okay, good. So now that we have our inventory on hand, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight and make this yellow like we've from the previous batch. So now because we're on a new inventory worksheet, I can reuse the colors that I had from the previous worksheet with no problem because I'm making a new worksheet. I have a new track going for me. So there you go. So let's look at the scenario here. So then on June 5th, you purchase an additional 800 units at $4 each with a freight cost of $100. So FIFO number 2, this is June 5th. Okay, I made a purchase of 800 items at $4 with a freight of $100. So I'm going to go ahead and format this real quick. And go ahead and tell me what is my total purchase price.
$3,200.
Try again.
3,200.
Okay, oh sorry, 32,000. Okay, I got it. Sorry. So 32,200, okay? Plus my freight, which was 100. Let me see. Yes, my freight was 100. So what is going to be my total cost here?
412, 413, if we're rounding.
Why? Oh, not my cost per item, my total cost.
Oh, total cost.
3,333.
Okay, and then, yes, Sandra, you said it was $4.13. Remember, we're not going to round here. This is where, because it's a half a penny, you have to be careful because when you do your rounding when you're rounding, you want to be careful because it can round your cost of goods sold and it could also round your number up here. So That's one of the numbers you have to be careful for because it's half a penny. Okay, so I'm going to transfer this information over. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight this, and I'm going to go ahead and make this, let's make it green again. Okay. So then on June 7, you sold 350 units at $10.50 each for cash. So 350 is what we sold on June 7th. Okay, so how are we going to take the 350 out?
From the 100 on hand and the rest out of the 800.
Good. So 350 minus 100 should be 250. So this is right here going to be a calculation, right? We need to add up our total here. So let me go ahead and select that nice blue color. All right, so as we know, just by looking at this piece of information here, we know that we need to get rid of the whole entire batch. So therefore, it should be for the I'm going to round that actually, equal round. I need to, I'm getting rid of the whole thing. So I don't need to do any calculation here. So what you can do is, again, I'm going to pull the information from, what was it? The 100, okay, at 38269. And I'm going to subtract those numbers out to make sure I know that I should have 0 at the end of the day. Okay, wait, this is supposed to be negative 100. And then this is supposed to be negative 38269. So therefore, this should be 0 as well. And we can go ahead and come here and we can 0 this out. Okay. And then now we determine that we need to take 250 out of my green batch. It's going to cost me $4.12.5. So again, this is where we need to be very careful on our rounding because we have half a penny going on here. So we want to make sure that when we do our calculation that it is for the correct amount. So in this case, I ended up with 25 cents. So I'm going to pull my information from above and subtract out the 250, bringing my new total to be 550. Okay. Same thing here. I'm going to take my total of my 3,300 and I'm going to subtract out my 1031.25. Okay. And I should get a new balance of 2268.75. And if I type this in here, so what is that, 850, 800 so minus that should be 550. So here it shows me, I typed in the wrong number, sorry. 550 should give me a nice even number. So this one was okay. We were able to do it and was successful and didn't have to make any adjustments. So here we have 226875. Right? So then what happened on June 10?
Purchased another 750 units.
At 425.75. So 750, 425. Okay. So this was June 10.
Yes.
We purchase another 750 items at 425 with a freight of 75. Okay, so what's my total purchase price here?
3,187.50.
Good. And my total cost?
3,262.50.
Okay, and my cost per item is going to be
4.35.
435.
a point 435 even? Oh,
Yes, 4.35.
perfect. Point 35 even. Good. So now I'm going to go ahead and transfer this information over. So here we have an even number. So no rounding needs to be done here because it's an even number. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight this and I'm going to color it. What am I going to color? I'm going to color blue. Let's keep our same cycled colors. All right, there you go. All right, we entered that in. And now, what happened on June 12th?
Sold 450 units.
450 units. Now, do we have enough?
Yes.
Yes, we do. In our green batch, so therefore we need to just get rid of only the green batch. So this was June 12th. We got rid of 450 units, costing me $4.12. So again, I'm going to do my equal round formula here.
1856.25.
Perfect. Okay. I'm going to pull my 550 and I'm going to subtract out my 450 to give me a remainder of 100. Okay. And of course, same thing here. I'm going to pull down the information from above, subtract out this 1856.25 to get me a grand total of 412.50, which is exactly, if you just calculate it, 100 times the 4.1250, you should be able to get 412.50. Okay. All right. Then what happened on June 15?
We sold another 500 units.
We sold another 500 units. So this one's pretty straightforward just because we only have, well, actually, no, we still have 2 batches left. So we're going to take 100 out of the green and then 400 out of the 750 to give us a grand total of 500 units that were sold. So June 15, we have 100 here, and we need, what was it? It was 500, right?
Yes.
So that means this is going to be another calculation that we have to sum up. Okay, so I'm going to make this nice blue right here. Okay. So first things first, as we know from our batches, we're going to take out our entire green batch. Okay, of course, that's going to give us that number. And then again, we can subtract this 100 items here to give us a grand total of 0. Same thing here. We're going to subtract out the 412.50 to give us balance 0. And of course, I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to 0 it out. All right. Now all we have left is our blue batch for 750. So now we're going to calculate a total of 400 from that 750. Okay, and we know that this is going to be an even $4.35. So therefore, what is my total cost of goods sold here?
I have 1,000.
What was that? 11,000? I mean, oh, sorry,
1740.
1740. Okay, so I need to bring that down to there. Okay, good. So now that we have this, we're going to update our inventory. So again, I'm going to pull my numbers down from my 750 that I bought. Okay, and subtract the 400. So I should have a remaining of 350 items. Okay, same thing here. Gonna pull down the information from above and subtract out the 1740, and I should have a remainder of 1522.50. So if I go up here and I do what was it? 750 minus 400. There you go. I get the same number, 1522.50. Okay, boom. The accuracy of my calculations is correct. All right. All right, little more, guys. We're almost there. Okay, so what happened on June 20th?
Purchase 600 more units.
At 405. Freight costing you $20. So 600. So this is June 20. Did you say we bought 600 more items at 405 with a freight costing you 20? So what's your total purchase price here?
2,430.
Good. And our total cost?
2,450.
And lastly, what is my cost per item for this batch?
4.08.
4.08 even?
No. 4.08333.
Okay. All right, good. Again, I'm going to pull this information over here again. And this one is going to be, oh, nope, not that one. It's going to be for the 4.0833. We multiply this across, it should give you your total of sorry. Shh. Oh, okay, hold on. I can't do this. There you go. And then I'm just going to have to shrink this page just a little bit so I can...
So it should be 2450.
Oh, that's why, because this number's like extra long. Okay, so I'm going to... There you go. Now I'm going to go ahead and shrink this back up, okay? So there you go, and I'm going to... All right, so now that we have this, good. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this because, again, I'm going to choose another color. In this case, because I feel like it, I'm going to go ahead and do orange. Shh. Okay, so orange. Okay, there you go. All right, so then June 20, where are we? June 22nd.
Yes.
How many more items did we sell? We sold 250. Okay, let's look at our batches. Okay, so we still have our blue batch and we still have our orange batch, right? We just bought our orange batch, right? And still using FIFO, we need to get rid of our blue batch. And we sold a total of 250. So we definitely have enough for our blue batch to dip in for our 250 items. Okay. So again, we know that this is an even $4.35. So therefore, I don't need to do my equal round formula because I know it's going to be even. Okay. So again, I'm going to pull my information from above. So I should have a remainder of 100 items. So I should have $435 even. Okay, that should be correct. Even if you did 100 times the 135, it should be for the 435. Okay, just double checking. We sold 250. Okay, good. All right, two more. We purchased an additional 350 units at $4.35 each with a freight of 50. So 350. Okay, and this is on June
25th.
June 25th. 350 at what was it?
$4.35.
$4.35 each. Okay, good. Um, 435. And what's my total purchase going to be here?
$22.50.
Okay, and my total freight was 50.
50.
Thank you. 50. Bringing my grand total to be
$15.72.50.
1572.50. And again, my cost per item is going to reflect.
4.4928.
Okay, so it's a big, nasty number. Good. All right. Putting this information again in my inventory on hand. So I had just purchased another 350 items. And it's going to cost me $4.49, bringing my total balance to be the $15,072.50. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and select this, and it's because it's my fifth color now. I'm going to go ahead and choose red, since it's I guess it's all I have left. Red. All right. So now let's look at our inventory on hand carefully. So we have 3 batches we have to deal with. We got 100 here in the blue, we got 600 in our orange, and we have 350 in red. All right. So we have 3 batches now. Last thing that we did here on the 27th of June is we sold 550 units at $10.50. And here, throwing it in here, June 30th, you should have a total of 500 units on hand. So let's go ahead and do that. So we sold 550. Let's look at our batches. Do we have enough for 550?
Yes.
Yes, we do, but we got to split it up. Okay? So June 27. We have, what was our first batch? Our orange had, I'm sorry,
Blue.
our blue had 100. And our goal is we need to get to 550. So we need to take 450 out of our orange. And because this is a calculation, we need to also highlight this. Because we need to solve for the total amount of cost of goods sold. Okay. So again, from our little thing here, we know that this 100 from our blue is going to cost me $4.35 each. So I know for sure that's going to be 435 even. Okay. And of course, you can come in here and you can just get rid of this batch here by pulling the information from above and subtracting out that 100 so you know that this is zeroed out. And we're going to go ahead and come up to our inventory on hand, and we're just going to get rid of it. All right. Now, all we have left is our orange batch and our red batch, and we know that we're going to be taking 450 items out of the orange batch. So knowing that our orange batch is going to cost me $4.8333, okay, we're going to go ahead and do our equal round formula. Okay, so what is my total cost of goods sold here?
$1837.50.
$1837.50. Okay, and of course we got a grand total of $2,272.50 here for our cost of goods sold. Okay, so now I'm going to pull the information again from the 600 that we purchased minus the 450 to give us a grand total of 150. We're going to pull the information from above, subtract out this 1837.50 to get a new grand total of 612.50. I'm going to go up here, so this is 150, and we validate that 612.50 is your current, is what you're going to actually have, all right? And because now we've completed everything, I'm going to go ahead and total up my values right here. So I'm not going to go all the way down to the bottom, but I'm going to go right here so I can go ahead and verify that my ending balance is indeed going to be the 500 units on hand. And of course, if I pull this over here, it should give me a grand total of $2,185. Okay. Oh. So now that we solved for that, we had the correct number here. Okay. We got our ending inventory to be the 500 items. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight this because this is also a new total. It's not. Okay. So that's how you solve for the perpetual inventory. It's a lot of thinking, a lot of work, but this is the best way to do business so we can ensure that there's no fraud going along, no one's stealing our stuff, and that way we don't have to take a physical count every single time because we should know at the end of every single day how much we should have in our inventory. All right? Any questions in regards to perpetual inventory? Okay. All right, this was FIFO, looking at how first in and first out, everything that you purchase in, right? Same concept here. We're going to start from the top and make our way down to the bottom. Okay, tomorrow is going to be LIFO. So it's going to look a lot more different and it's going to be a lot more complicated than using FIFO because FIFO, we recognize it. We can locate where our beginning balance is or our top number is going to be, but every time we make a purchase of new inventory, that's the number we're going to be taking out for LIFO. So other than that, if you guys don't have any other questions, then you guys are pretty much free to go.